The following is a conversation with Eric Weinstein, the third time we've spoken on this podcast. He is the wise turtle, Master Oogway to my Kung Fu Panda, one of my favorite people to talk to in this world. A complicated and fascinating mind that I'm grateful to have the chance to accompany in exploring this world through conversation. Who's the greatest musician of all time, would you say? We were just off camera talking about Eddie van Halen. He unfortunately passed away.
Who's the greatest musician of all time?
Yeah.
Jonathan Richman.
Who's that?
It's a weird question, so I'm going to give you a weird answer. It's not because...
Thank you.
Okay. Jonathan Richman, the reason I'm picking on him is that he had a quote. He was the front man of a group called the Modern Lovers. And his quote was something like, we have to be prepared to play music when our instruments are broken, the electricity's out, and it's raining, something like that. And I thought that quote was very interesting because what it said was, you have to be able to strip this thing down farther and farther back to get to something that is intrinsically musical. So we were having a conversation just now about virtuosity. We're talking about Eddie Van Halen and his recent passing. And that affected me emotionally. I don't know whether it affected you. I was never a Van Halen, the group fan, but I revered Eddie Van Halen's capacity for innovation. I saw him like, Rodney Mullen, the skateboarder. I had dreamed of having the two of them on the same podcast just to talk about what it's like to totally discontinuously innovate.
And you posted a video of Spanish Fly, I think, and saying like, I didn't know the guitar could make those kinds of sounds. Like, what is this voodoo magic?
What is it? Well, this is the thing, right? The arpeggios that he did on a single string are so fast, and the attacks from the hammer-ons, when they go at light speed as he did, particularly, and the reason I chose that is that I wanted to strip out the electronics, because part of the claim is that he's a rock musician, and a lot of the innovations had to do with things like peculiar.
The theory of everything, in physics and life and all of that.
How often do you have the chance, for example, to hear mathematics performed as you do in Bach, right? Like something with that kind of precision and elegance that can't really be grasped, where, to go back to Leonard Cohen's famous line, the baffled king composing, right?
Such a good song.
It's such a good song, but it's also like individual verses of that song are insanely important. The baffled king is how we often make music. We don't really understand what did we just do that broke that person's heart sitting on the couch, right? And so it's a very strange thing that you should be able to have. Think of it like you're a computer. You've got this weird open music port, port 37.8,
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not even supposed to be there. And suddenly somebody starts playing a guitar and they're making you feel things. Or, like in particular instruments like the violin, it's so difficult. It's so unforgiving. And when it gives up its secrets, it just, it wraps its fingers around your heart and won't let go. Sometimes I talk about head, heart, and loins. When something can grab your head, heart, and your loins at the same moment and integrate them, there are very few opportunities to live like that. And if you think about Eddie Van Halen, as far as your head, the musical innovations and the fact that he was drawing directly from the classical canon, really speaks to the idea that maybe rock is what somebody like Jimi Hendrix saw it as being, an infinitely extensible medium. In terms of heart, I always notice the smile on his face. It's painful to look at an Eddie Van Halen solo now. Like sometimes you'll see the cigarette dripping off the side of his mouth and you're like, that's going to fucking kill you. And I'm not even worried about it for you. I'm worried about it for me. You're going to rob. I don't even need to hear you play another note. I just like knowing that you're in the world, that there is somebody that everyone looks to, that nobody, I've never heard a guitarist say, I don't know. I think he was okay. Like I've never heard it. You can hate him, but you still think he was a genius. There are very few people like that in the world. And then loins, those leaps, that guy was incredibly good looking. And, skin tight pants, super athleticism.
Yeah.
He completely owned the male sexuality of the stage, both being the completely dominant, sort of mythical alpha male. I hate that expression, but there you are. But also this kind of little boy with this mischievous smirk and, the sense that it all came together How could you not eat that up?
You can just imagine the millions of like young teenage boys who are just like playing air guitar in their room, just that, yeah, basically dreaming of being that kind of god, the most perfect example of what a human being can be. Yeah,
Yeah, and
that's fascinating to think.
it is, and then as in many of the cases with these bands, you get these multiple talents in the same outfit. And I think that the original configuration with David Lee Roth, I mean, David Lee Roth is such a hot mess at all times.
I would love you to talk to David Lee Roth. Like if they conversation. Can we go back to Leonard Cohen?
Yeah.
Can we just the things I feel when I listen to Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen or anything by him really, but that one.
Do you really want to get into it?
Let's go. What does that song mean to you? Is it love?
Oh boy. Well, first of all, it's mystery. Like it starts off about mystery. So what are you doing? You're doing this alternation between the two chords, so three notes at the same time. One is called the tonic, or you have the major and the relative minor, and he's alternating between them. There's only one note of difference between those two chords. One of them would be feeling sad. One of them would be more joyous, typically described. And so by altering one note, it's the minimal amount to take you back and forth between joy and happiness as that's encoded in us. So he starts off with that. I heard there was a scene. David played the Please the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do you? That's really interesting because he's using this technique called bathos, right? So the alternation between the sublime and kind of the guttural or ridiculous or the mundane, right? Mm-hmm. So he's like...
but there's a bitterness to it too. Is it just play?
Well, the way I hear it, again, a great song allows for different interpretations. You happen to be asking me, so I'm going to impart some stuff that probably isn't in the song, but why it speaks to me. That's what makes it great. Yeah. The way I hear it is he doesn't believe the audience. You don't really care for music, do you? Then what are you doing listening to this, you stupid idiots? Yeah. Of course you care for music. You're too cool to care. So I see through you and screw you. That's like the kind of, that's the energy I get out of it. Then he does this weird thing. It goes like this is where he should put the description of where he is in the chord progression, which is the tonic, right? It goes like this. And then he hits the fourth and the fifth, which are the two other major elements, the subdominant and the dominant, in functional harmony. So he's describing the chord progression in real time in the lyrics. And there's two ways this can come about in other songs. Like we had this example of Every Time We Say Goodbye. Do you know the song? Every time we say goodbye. No, I think was it Cole Porter, maybe? Or Gershwin, maybe Porter, I don't know. I cry a little. There is no love song finer, but how strange the change from major to minor. Right? Like it's beautiful use. Wow. Then there's times when it's duplicitous. So for example, you'll have I guess my favorite examples of this are Johnny Cash's Ring of Fire. Mm-hmm. I fell into a burning ring of fire. Then what does he do with the lyrics and the tune? I went down, down, down. He goes up.
Yeah.
Right. And so the idea is like, oh, okay, that was a head fake.
Yeah.
Right. And another one of these, is Nina Simone's Feeling Good. Well, okay. So what do you get at? Birds flying high. You know how I feel. And sun up in the sky. You know how I feel.
That woman's voice.
It's a
she
new
doesn't give a damn, and yet she's
and I'm feeling. But then what's the da-dum, da-dum?
Yeah,
it's like heavy stripping music. It's you're not in a good place. You're probably in some strip club with the last of your money. You're drinking lousy beer. Some bad situation.
Yeah,
and she's feeling good. No, it's funereal. It's oppressive, right?
I never thought of that song that way. Wow.
Well, you think of it as joyous?
Yeah.
No. If you think about it, contrast it with Ray Charles, for example. Do you know Lonely Avenue? Yeah. Goes, well, my room has got two windows, but the sunshine never comes through. It's really depressed. It's the same sort of vibe as Nina, but she's claiming that she's in great shape. So she's like a good case of the unreliable narrator. Leonard Cohen, to me, is talking about the unreliable audience that's too cool to be with the performer on stage. There are things that go with the music, like the Cole Porter stuff, that go against, like the Johnny Cash. I think these are the games that musicians play that the rest of us only sort of notice subliminally. Okay. Fourth, the fifth. And then he should say something about the relative minor or he's giving you the secret, the baffled king. Completely. In other words, he doesn't know why it works. Yeah. Did Pachelbel know why Pachelbel's canon would work? Yeah. It was a discovery. That's the whole thing. Like, some music is discovered and some music is invented. And he's talking about a musical discovery. He's talking about the Pythagorean power of the wave equation, and then superimpose, like, there's two genius intellectual concepts behind music, one of which is the wave equation. Usually we solve it for a one-dimensional medium because we're talking about strings or air columns. Occasionally you're talking about things like handpans or steel drums or metallophones or gamelons, whatever. And those have a wave equation too that's much more chaotic. The other equation is this crazy thing that 2 to the 19/12 is almost exactly equal to 3, which is what gave us even temperament. And so the tension between those two things is, in fact, one of these most beautiful stories. Inside of that system, that formula of the baffled king is a discovery. He's not really composing it. The reason he's baffled, imagine that you took like a little brush and you started brushing off, a pyramid under the sands. You might think that you created the pyramid by your brushing, but in fact, somebody else did it. That's why you're baffled, right?
That's beautifully put. You're right. And as creating one of the greatest songs of all time, and as he's doing it, he's baffled. And it's meta. Leonard, he's within the song.
And Leonard is baffled, is my contention. But he knows enough to know that he's baffled, right? And so the idea is that he is composing. He has the audacity to compose as David. He's echoing David at a minimum. And then in a later song, which I really wish we would discuss, that's totally dystopic, and you will not like it at all, is The Future, which contains this line that I think I used in my episode with Roger Penrose on The Portal. Note the subtle plug.
The portal.
He says, I'm the little Jew that wrote the Bible. So there is this way in which Leonard Cohen, I think, is constantly coming to the idea of being a biblical-like scribe. And I think this is one of the great things that, you see Dylan doing this with All Along the Watchtower. You saw Warren Zevon, who we should talk much more about,